I am a huge fan of the Mario games. When I played them as a kid, I thought it was good. Well, I didn't care for it much because I was more of a Sonic fan back then. But when I got older, I lost interest of Sonic the Hedgehog, and I didn't care for this franchise as much I used to now. But that's when my appreciation for Mario starts to grow. Back in 2023, I saw the Super Mario Bros. Movie, and I absolutely love it. And for that, I just went back to playing the Mario games again, and that's when I start to realize that I've always been a Mario person. Well, anyway, the Mario movie sequel, aka the Super Mario Galaxy movie, just came out, and I just watched it, and for today's video, I'm going to be comparing it to the first movie. So, is the Galaxy movie is actually as good as the first movie, or it just failed, just like Megan 2.0 did? The sequel, which I personally liked, and yes, this is an inside joke. Anyway, it's time to let the battle crash.
Hello, this is Isaiah's friend of mine. This is Saj. So, at your service.
Alright. Are you ready? Let's go.
Yahoo! The story of the first Super Mario Bros. Movie, well, it's about Mario and his brother Luigi. They struggled to start their business of being plumbers, and then they discovered a pipe that takes them into a different planet, and Luigi just got captured by Bowser Empire. So Mario goes to the princess, and they work together to stop Bowser from taking over the world and save Luigi. Well, the story of the Galaxy movie, Princess Rosalina got kidnapped by Bowser's son. Well, Princess Peach went on a mission to space for self-discovery, while the Mario brothers were guarding the kingdom until Bowser Jr. attacked. Alright, the Super Mario Galaxy movie had some pretty great stuff to get into the movie, but the story was pretty much a bolded mess. We had like 3 parts line apart, focusing on Peach and then Mario's side, and then Bowser plotline with his son. Well, just to make it clear, the pacing and animation is better this time around, and it really did felt longer than the first movie. It's only an hour and 40 minutes, but it felt like 2 hours for me. But other than that, it felt like they're not telling story much, and they just went straight to the action. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I think the first movie has the superior plot, and I am going to explain why. Mario had a character arc where he has to prove himself that he can do anything impossible, and Luigi learns how to be brave at the end of the movie too, and that is the kind of story arc that I didn't get again in the Galaxy movie, and I was pretty underwhelmed how they handled their characters in the Galaxy movie, and we will talk about that in the next round. Well, I'm willing to admit the first movie story was simple, but it makes up for being simple with the cinematic gameplay experience that you feel playing the Mario games as children's. I never played the Mario Galaxy games before, but I was impressed how they adapted into the movie. and the illumination animation really made the visuals better and better each time. Well, although I may agreed with the animation style, the Galaxy movie doesn't feel as effective as the first movie did, as Mario has overcome challenges, and it is pretty much an origin story of how Mario becomes the iconic hero that we know and love. So the movie with the better story is undoubtedly the first movie. Okay, what I meant by characters in the Galaxy movie being, well, you know, let's probably start with the positive. I liked how Luigi had more screen time this time around, and I love seeing Yoshi in that movie. And it is a pretty dang time seeing those characters fit into the story. But although I was disappointed of Rosalina in this movie, she has less screen time, and they even lack emotional story arc with her. Rosalina from the games had a tragic backstory, and they could have just established it into the movie. Okay, well sure, they show a backstory with Rosalina and Princess Peach as kids. Oh, by the way, Rosalina and Peach are related, but I'm talking about the backstory of how she found the Lumas and became their mom. In the Mario Galaxy games, Rosalina tell the whole story of how she found the Lumas and decided to become their guardian. Yeah, they could have just made a flashback about that as their advantage. Well, even though I never played the Galaxy games before, I knew they should have done this instead. So for that, I would preferred if Peach and Daisy were sisters. And the heck, if they actually do this, then they could have competed with Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Shadow the Hedgehog is a tragic character, and his backstory is true and faithful to the games in the movie. And oh man, I don't even like Sonic that much anymore, but yet I prefer Shadow's character over Rosalina, and that's just not a good sign. Well, I think it's time that I need to address the elephant in the room. I think most of you guys know that Star Fox is in the Galaxy movie. Well, I did a reaction to it to my other video, and I obviously did not like this because I personally don't want a Super Smash movie. But either which, I thought Star Fox is going to show up in the post-credit scene, but it turns out they just put him in the middle of the freaking movie for no reason, and I am not kidding. Well, not only Fox McCloud was in it, they show other unrelated Mario characters, like the Pigmen as a example, and me personally, I hated these cameos. It felt unnecessary, forced, and it just doesn't make sense for the story. And the heck, Fox barely interacted with Mario during their adventure, and he had more screen time than the other Nintendo cameos, and that's how you can tell that they're just using him as a cheap cameo than rather just an actual character. Man, Jesus Christ, that reminded me of when Wonder Woman just showed up out of nowhere in Zack Snyder DC movies. Well, except this is actually worse. Well, the first Mario Bros. Movie did better with their character, in my opinion. Well, despite Luigi not having much screen time, and despite the fast pacing. The first movie did took us into the journey of how the character achieve at the end. Mario, like I said, has went from being a zero to hero, and it does felt like we are watching an actual Mario movie. And as for the Galaxy movie, it felt like we are watching a totally different movie since Star Fox appeared. Well, if it was just a post-credit scene, then I would excuse it, but because it is not, the movie and the characters themselves really fall flat and under development. I may buy it in the first movie, but I don't buy it in the sequel. So yeah, I'm sorry guys, but the first movie has the superior characters. Alright, now we're on to the villain segment. Alright, first off, I gotta say that I love Bowser Jr. in this movie. He is bratty like he's supposed to be, and I liked his battle with the Mario Brothers. Well, although I also had my few issue with him. When I first saw his design in the first movie teaser, well, I was not a fan of what they did to his eyes colors. It looks so weird to me, and that eye design, that makes him look like a creepypasta character. And watching the movie, well, my opinion has not changed on the eyes. And plus, Bowser Jr. origin story just seemed a bit unclear to me. Well, there's a backstory with Bowser and Bowser Jr. together, but they didn't exactly explain how Bowser Jr. gets abandoned in the first place and where he really come from. Like, that makes the whole plot holes of the Mario universe even more questioning. Well, Bowser character arc was pretty wasted at the end of the movie. When he worked with Mario and Luigi a bit, I thought he's going to have a interesting redemption arc, similar to Dr. Eggman in Sonic the Hedgehog 3, where he just redeemed himself and sacrificed his life to save the world. That's what I'm hoping I was about to see when Bowser teams up with Mario in the middle of the movie. But they ended up keeping him as the same bad guy character that he's always is. Like, Bowser is pretty much the same character at the end of the day, and that is something that I am not happy to see on character growth. Well, Bowser made a great impression in the first Mario Bros. Movie, and he held up as a threat at least, and Bowser had his comedic moment with having a crush on Peach and all that stuff, and that is because he is played by Jack Black. Well, the Galaxy movie, it just tends to be pretty jokey at times, much like the Minecraft movie is overloaded with comedy, with no self-aware. But like I said, Bowser Jr. was great, but his father, Bowser Sr., had some such wasted potential. Oh yeah, there's also the frog guy from Super Mario Bros. 2, and I totally forgot he was in this movie. But anyway, with that being said, the movie with the superior villain, for me, is the first Mario Bros. Movie.
Like and subscribe to Isaiah's channel.
The action in the first Super Mario Bros. Movie was just so amazing. They just used the gameplay mechanic during the action, and it definitely makes me want to play the games again right after that. And the action scene with the Mario Kart was so fun to watch, and the climax battle was so legendary for me. As for the Super Mario Galaxy movie, The action is also great, and I gotta say, I was impressed. I actually saw this movie on 4DX with my friend, where you have the simulator seats, where you move when the characters were moving and feel what the characters were feeling. Well, this isn't my first time doing this, as I have experienced the simulation watching Transformers 1. So yeah, I had a really great time with that action, especially the impact of the simulated seats are moving. But it doesn't really satisfy you once it is over. Like, whenever the action sequence are over, I just felt like there's something missing, and I never felt that way in the first movie. Like, a part of me just felt like there's so much more that they could have done, because the action doesn't hit with a bang at the end, like the first movie did. The dry bone Bowser was unexpected and cool, but we need unexpected but cool stuff for the heroes as well. Like Mario using the giant mushroom as a better counter. And in my mind, that sounds way cooler than the Star Fox action sequence that we don't really need. And I honestly don't know what the hell was that. Was that supposed to be like a Mario version of Super Sonic? Sounds about right, don't you think? Well, anyway, I think the movie that has the superior action, well, at least in my opinion, if you take the Mario and Donkey Kong fight in account, is the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Super Mario Galaxy was a fun movie, but I unfortunately did not love it as much as the first film, because my only major issue with this movie is the Nintendo cameo being used as a excuse to set up a Super Smash film, which I am not looking forward to. Mario is supposed to be in standalone universe away from the other Nintendo IPs. The way that they just forced Star Fox into the movie while you're supposed to be telling a Mario-focused story movie, it just throws me off, and I bet they confuses the audience with this. And the heck, I bet that the kids were asking their parents stupid questions about Star Fox and Mario. So, with a less interesting cameo appearance with Fox McCloud, it certainly connect to an even less interesting crossover movie that nobody literally asked for. You know what? Let's get this over with. Alright, well, Super Mario Galaxy movie could have been a 10 out of 10 if Star Fox and the other unrelated Mario characters were not in this movie. But now that they are, my score for the Galaxy movie is a standard 8 out of 10, and the Super Mario Bros. Movie gets a well-deserved 12 out of 10. Man, I can see why the critics are so harsh on the Galaxy movie. Well, it is not a Shrek 2 situation, where it is one of these sequels that surpassed the first movie, but it's not out straight terrible at any means. Both the Galaxy movie and the first film felt like a cinematic event, but the difference is that after seeing the first Mario movie, I walk out of the theater with a big smile on my face, and I was so happy when I first watched it. I have seen the first Mario movie 300 times now, or 301 if you count me rewatching this movie before watching Galaxy. Well, as for the sequel, Well, I just felt the same feeling when I walked out of the theater after watching the Minecraft movie, and that is not good. And you know what I realized? I realized that the first movie is Mario and Luigi's story, and the Galaxy movie, it's more like Princess Peach's story at best. Well, anyway, the Mario Galaxy movie was excellent, but the first movie remained the juggernaut masterpiece of all video games movies. Well, talking about the Galaxy movie, well, I feel like I'm just going to watch this movie 2 times, and that's it. And that's pretty much how I felt about Avengers Endgame, because I watched Infinity War multiple times, because it's sort of a better movie out of the two. Well, anyway, it's been nice seeing my childhood back on the big screens, and overall, I would easily highly recommend watching both of these Mario movies.